Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everybody. What I want to do in my sort of initial opening remarks is to give you an idea first of what the Commission does, so that you appreciate what we are talking about, and say a little bit about where the current Finance Commission stands in its work, and then talk about our deliberations with the Government of Haryana this morning. We'll start with an explanation of what the Commission's mandate is. This is a constitutional commission appointed roughly every 5 years, and its mandate, broadly speaking, is to make recommendations on how the union government's finances, tax revenues, not all finance, tax revenues are to be shared between the central government and the state governments. This division is called vertical devolution. For example, the 15th Finance Commission recommended that 41% of the tax revenues. This will be in English. You can ask me questions in Hindi, then I will answer you. It will take a lot longer if I spoke in Hindi. But you can ask your questions in Hindi. So the 15th Finance Commission's recommendation was that 41% be devolved to the states and 59% to remain with the central government. That is the vertical devolution. Then this commission also is to recommend how the 41% of this share is to be divided among the 28 states. So that's called the horizontal devolution. In addition, there is also the mandate to make recommendations on local body grants. Now, the local body grants, all grants actually, come from the central government's budget, or what we call this, the Consolidated Fund of India. So that is not a part of these revenues, tax revenues, but instead that grants all come from the central government's budget. So local body grants, meaning to panchayats and to urban local bodies, municipalities and municipal corporations, etc. Fourth area is the disaster relief. So that is also an area in which the grants are given, which also again come from the Consolidated Fund of India. In addition, in the past, commissions have also made some state-specific grants and some sector-specific grants. So that's the overall roadmap. Now, strike back a little bit. What is this tax revenue that is being divided between the central states and all? So again, within our system, there are certain taxes which are levied, raised, collected, and kept by the state governments. These, for example, the SGST, State Goods and Services Tax, that is collected and then kept by the state in its entirety. That's a state share in the GST. Then you have taxes on certain taxes on petroleum products that are levied by the states, and they remain with the states. Similarly, another major item that is taxed by the state is the excise on liquor. That again is levied by the state, collected by the state, kept by the state. So there are then some smaller items which are also sources of revenues that go directly to the states. There are certain other taxes which go directly to the center. So any kind of tax revenue that is to accrue to the union territories goes directly to the central government's budget, all of it. There are certain cesses and surcharges that the central government levies. Those also go in entirety to the central government. Then the cost of revenue collection, tax revenue collection costs, they also go directly to the central government. Now that leaves a large part of the taxes that are collected income tax, corporate profit tax, the custom duties, things like that. All these taxes go into this pool of resources, which is called the divisible pool. And when I said earlier that the Commission's mandate is to make recommendations on how the tax revenue should be divided between the center and states and then among the states, we are talking about this divisible pool, which has largely all the income tax revenues, corporate profit tax revenues, custom duties, and a few other smaller items. So that is the overall picture, what the Finance Commission is asked to recommend. Now, this commission was appointed at the very beginning of the 2024, and our mandate will last till the October 31st October of this year. So our report has to be out by then. Now, in the process of its work, one of the things that the Commission does is consults very widely. It visits every single state. So since about June of 2024, we have been visiting different states. Today, Haryana visit was our 24th such state. So we would have completed after Haryana 24 states. We'll have 4 more left, which are yet to be visited. Last state will be UP, which is early June. But the Commission also consults with other stakeholders. For example, it conducted 5 different regional consultations where we brought in the subject experts, often the academics. So, for the western region, we did it in Jaipur. For the eastern region, we did it in Rajgir. For the northeast, we went to Meghalaya. For the southern region, we went to Vizag in Andhra Pradesh. So that was done. We also consulted with the chairman and members who were available of the past 3 or 4 finance commissions, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th, so 4 of them. The Commission also, in general, invites anybody who has any suggestions to make them on the Commission's website. You can find a link where you can drop your suggestions, and they will looked at by the staff of the Commission. So that is what we do. Now today we had a long meeting with the Honorable Chief Minister of Haryana, the Chief Secretary, his Chief Principal Secretary, and the other senior staff, with all the members on our side and our own staff also sitting through the meeting. The major part of that interaction was a long presentation by the Government of Haryana, where the Chief Secretary and his team, Chief Secretary is also the Finance Secretary here, so he did the major part of the presentation, but a couple of other secretaries pitched in as well. So the initial part of the presentation was about the progress of Haryana, and it was very comprehensive, going all the way back to when Haryana was founded and how its per capita income and other social indicators have evolved since then. And then the big focus was quite naturally on the finances. And even within that, a major pitch that the presentation made was that over the years, Haryana has received less than what is its due in terms of the devolution of tax revenues. And Haryana made a very fine pitch on that. And my own reaction when I spoke back was that Haryana has a good case, and it has made a good case on enhancement of devolution to it. Now, on vertical devolution, Haryana's recommendation was very similar to most of the other states, not everyone, but most of the other states have said that the devolution to the states should be increased from its current level of 41% of the divisible pool to 50%. That is a big ask. There is no, doubt, because for the commissions to make such a large jump is very unusual. It's not unprecedented, but it is very unusual. But that has been largely the pitch of most of the states. So there was that done. On horizontal devolution, Haryana had a very radically different set of suggestions as to how the share of the states ought to be divided among different states. I think this is the major part of the sort of recommendation that Haryana has made, and I thought I'll outline that, comparing it to what the 15th Finance Commission had done. So various criteria are used to decide how the overall pie, divisible pool, or the share of the states in the divisible pool, that 41% in the case of the 15th Finance Commission, how it should be divided among the 28 states. So generally, to be very objective and transparent, almost always the Finance Commissions have made use of certain objective criteria. I'll go through what the 15th did and then also simultaneously tell you what the recommendation of the Haryana government is. So in the case of the 15th Finance Commission, for example, they devolved 15% of the state share in the divisible pool based on population. What that means is that 15% of that 41% that was divided among the states based on each state's share in the national population, or in share in the population of the 28 states. So you exclude the union territories because the population is only between these 28 states. Similarly, there was area. Area was given 15% weight also by the 15th Finance Commission. So again, you looked at what is the share of any state in the 28 states total area, and then 15% of the divisible of the state share in the divisible pool was divided based on that area share. So that's how it is done. So 15 the population 15%. The Haryana government's recommendation is that weight should be reduced to 7.5%, meaning instead of 15% of the state share being divided based on population shares, only 7.5% ought to be divided based on population shares. Area, again, as I mentioned, 15th Finance Commission had recommended 15% weightage to area. Haryana government's recommendation is to retain that at 15%. Forest and ecology is another criterion that has been used by both 14th and 15th Finance Commissions. 15th Finance Commission gave a weight of 10% to forest and ecology. So here again, you calculate what is the share of any given state in the total area of forest among the 28 states, and then you divide that part. So 10% was the recommendation. Haryana government's recommendation is that should be reduced to 5%. Now, the fourth criterion is called the income distance criterion. Now, this is generally has been very important criterion with a very large weight in the past by the different finance commissions. And the rationale for that criterion has been that successive finance commissions have sought some equity in the devolution and equity in how the state in the divisible pool is allocated across different states. By equity, what it means is that then the presumption is empirical evidence also is there that if you do on a per capita basis, states with a low per capita income have lower capacity to raise their own tax revenues. Whereas the states with high per capita incomes have the capacity to raise their own tax revenues per capita basis. Right? So per capita revenue in terms of own ability to raise on a per capita basis is related to the per capita income. Okay, so for the poorer states you devolve more, and for the richer states you devolve less. So this is where the income distance formula is what has been used traditionally. So what is done is that you take the difference in per capita income of richest state has been Haryana. Haryana has had the high among the large ones. You know, there are Goa and Sikkim also, which have higher per capita incomes, but they are very small states. So generally, the commissions take the larger states, and within that, who has the highest per capita income? So Haryana has been that state, and so you take the gap between proportionate gap between the gap between the per capita income of Haryana and whichever other state might be. Take Rajasthan, and that gap is then multiplied by the population, and you take that then the population weighted per capita income gap, sum of that across the states is divided. So an index is constructed. Effectively, it's the each state's distance as population weighted distance as a proportion of the overall weighted distance. So that obviously means that for Haryana, the gap with itself is practically zero. So notionally some gap is assigned to Haryana, but it's a small gap. Whatever is the gap between Haryana and the next highest per capita income state, that gap is taken, and that's all that goes to Haryana. So this criterion clearly works against Haryana in favor of, let's say, states like Bihar or Uttar Pradesh, where the per capita income is much lower. So this is where the weight in the 15th Finance Commission was 45%. Haryana's recommendation is 15%. Okay, so clearly Haryana's interest is better served with less less of the pie being divided based on income distance. Okay, so Haryana's recommendation here is that reduce that weight. Instead, then there is the next criterion, which is tax and fiscal effort. What kind of tax effort and fiscal effort are the states themselves making? This is more of an efficiency criterion, right? In the way that these other criteria, population, area, forest may be a little different, but income distance, these three certainly, population, area, and income distance, these are equity-based criteria. That you are trying to compensate for some sort of inability, some sort of disability in raising tax revenues, or disability in the cost side. Area is a cost disability. That larger the state is on a per capita basis, larger is the cost of providing some of the public services, infrastructure, school education, schools, hospitals. So this is a disability correction when you use population, or you use area, or you use income distance. As opposed to that, tax and fiscal effort, for example, is an efficiency based. That how much effort you are yourself making in raising taxes of your own, right? And likewise, how fiscally prudent, fiscally responsible are you? That is also an efficiency criterion rather than the equity criterion. So to that, 15th Finance Commission had assigned a weight of 2.5. Haryana government's pitch is that weight should be 35%. And you can see why, because Haryana raises a lot of its own tax revenues. And so in this sense, Haryana's tax effort is better compared to many of the other states. So that, again, so Haryana has recommended, therefore, shifting weights away from the equity criterion to the efficiency criterion. And then last criterion by the 15th Finance Commission was demographic performance. That was done by the inverse of the total fertility rate. that the lower your total fertility rate, the more devolution is done to you. And that was the demographic performance. To that, 15th Finance Commission had given a weight of 12.5. Haryana's recommendation is to reduce that weight from 12.5 to 7.5. Then there is a last new criterion that Haryana has suggested. There is a seventh criterion on the list of Haryana, which is the revenue loss due to introduction of GST. This is like, when GST replaced the other sources of taxation, which were in the hands of the states particularly, what kind of revenue loss has happened. This is a difficult criterion to implement, I should say. We have asked for more clarification from the Haryana government, how exactly would you implement this. But that the government's suggestion, recommendation is that be given 15% weight. So Haryana's weights, I will quickly repeat for you. Population 7.5%, area 15%, forest and ecology 5%, income distance 15%, tax and fiscal effort 35%, demographic performance 7.5%, and revenue loss due to introduction of GST 15%. So there is some discussion of the local body grants and disaster relief grants. Was also offered in the presentation. Honorable Chief Minister made some suggestions of his own as well when he spoke. He suggested, for example, that when the international community looks at the country, NCR region is their barometer, that often they would, when they visit, what they see is the NCR region. So he suggested that among the criteria we should include the state's area, state share in the overall NCR region. So that was one of his recommendations. He also suggested that we include among our devolution criteria the share of each state or the contribution of each state to the armed forces. So that will be like, states, meaning the number of people from the state serving in the armed services as a proportion of the total size of the armed services. So that was another second suggestion he made. So these were separate from the presentation itself. From the presentation, I have already given you all the weights that the Haryana government suggested. So that's the rough summary of the Commission's work and our discussions today with the Haryana government. We'll take 3 or 4 questions and then end the press conference.
Thank you very much, sir. Question answers सवाल जवाब शुरू करने से पहले अनुरोध करना चाहूँगा सबसे एक बार जब भी आप सवाल पूछोगे अपना इंट्रोडक्शन जरूर
करें। मैं डॉक्टर सुरेंद्र निवान हूँ, मैं एडिटर हूँ दैनिक सवेरा। जो रिकमेंडेशंस अभी आपकी कुछ बातों से ये लगा कि जो हरियाणा सरकार ने चाहा है, कुछ तो आपने कहा कि कुछ डिफिकल्ट है, कुछ नया क्राइटेरिया जो बताया जीएसटी वाला वो डिफिकल्ट है, कुछ और में कहा कि जो हरियाणा का इनकम पर कैपिटल ज़्यादा है उसका लॉस हो रहा है क्योंकि बिहार का कम है वो। तो आपकी रिकमेंडेशन तो हालांकि जब आएंगी तो इनको आप किस तरीके से मान रहे हैं कि जो जिन वजह से हरियाणा को लॉस हो रहा है, कुछ अन्य राज्यों को भी लॉस हो रहा होगा, खाली हरियाणा नहीं है, इन्हीं दोनों तीनों से, तो क्या 16th कमीशन इस पर विचार कर रहा है या ये भी 14वें और 15वें कमीशन की तरह ट्रेडिशनल नहीं चलता रहेगा?
इसमें और भी राज्य हैं, जैसे महाराष्ट्र है जहाँ हम अभी गए नहीं हैं, गुजरात है जहाँ हम जा चुके हैं, तो गुजरात ने इसी तरीके के इश्यूज उठाए हैं। फिर तमिलनाडु है जिन्होंने बहुत फोर्सफुली इस बात को उठाया है। जैसे उन्होंने क्राइटेरिया में ये कहा है जो ग्रोथ में जीडीपी में जो योगदान है हर स्टेट का, उसको आप क्राइटेरियन बनाएं। तो वो क्राइटेरियन काफ़ी सिमिलर बनता है वो जो टैक्स, जो हरियाणा ने टैक्स का कहा है कि टैक्स एंड फिस्कल एफर्ट, तो काफ़ी सिमिलर कोरिलेटेड हैं। बहुत हायर जिनका कंट्रीब्यूशन है जीडीपी में, उनका टैक्स में भी फिर जनरली हायर होता है। सो ये रिलेटेड है। सो और राज्यों ने भी उठाया है। और निश्चित रूप से इस कमीशन की स्थिति फ़र्क है कुछ पुरानी कमीशन से। आप सोचें अगर तो वो अलग, वो इसलिए भी है क्योंकि इतिहास बदला है थोड़ा उसके बाद, क्योंकि 15 में कोई सामने कोविड का बहुत विशेष प्रकोप था, तो वो कॉन्टेक्स्ट था, उनका संदर्भ फ़र्क था। इस कमीशन का संदर्भ थोड़ा फ़र्क है क्योंकि प्रधानमंत्री ने इस बीच में कहा है कि भारत को विकसित भारत की तरफ बढ़ना है 2047 तक, जो 100वीं वर्षगांठ होगी स्वतंत्रता की, उस तक हमें विकसित भारत बन जाना है। तो निश्चित रूप से उसी संदर्भ में कमीशन के जो डिस्कशंस चल रहे हैं उसमें इस बात को भी कंसिडर किया जा रहा है। अब क्या निर्णय होगा वो तो कमीशन के मेंबर पे डिपेंड करेगा, क्योंकि 4 मेंबर्स हैं, मैं चेयरमैन, तो 5 लोग हैं हम, तो उनकी कुल मिला के सबकी राय क्या बनती है। तो अलग अलग विचार भी हो सकते हैं कमीशन के अंदर, पर कमीशन इस विषय में सर्टनली बहुत जागरूक भी है और इस दृष्टिकोण को देखने के लिए ओपन है, पर निर्णय क्या होगा ये कुछ कहा नहीं जा सकता।
Mr. Pangadia, my name is Hitendra. I'm senior associate editor of Business Times. So, my question is a little broader, not pertaining to Haryana only. Since, a lot of states are indulging in competitive populism nowadays, a lot of freebies are being given. So, how does the commission view this? Should states which display better fiscal prudence and management, should they be incentivized, or, the states which are not displaying fiscal responsibility, disincentivized in certain manner?
So I will not answer what the commission should do, should not do, or will not do, because until those decisions are made, it will be inappropriate for me to express any opinion. Is this a concern for the commission? Yes, it is a concern for the commission because it deals with finances and the ultimate. What the commission has tried to wrestle with and cannot really resolve is, when we talk about, let's say, the term used often is freebies, what is actually to be classified as a freebie and what is not to be classified as a freebie? That's a very challenging question, and we have internally discussed the issue. We have also consulted a lot of the experts outside the commission, obviously, that is there a reasonable way, because anything commission does has to be transparent, has to have general acceptability, right? And here I think this is where the problem arises, that anything you do in terms of, definitionally what can be included, what can be excluded, because, there are what we call traditionally merit subsidies, demerit subsidies, etc., etc. So within that kind of classification, which are acceptable, which are not acceptable, is a very tough thing to do for the commission. But how that actually impacts the financial stability, macroeconomic stability, etc., clearly is a concern. So the commission is aware of this.
So I just want you to know, you have parameters, various parameters. Could this be one of the parameters?
No, but exactly how that becomes the parameter, right? In the end, if this is to be a parameter, one has to be able to define what freebies are, and that is where the challenge is. So it's very difficult actually, you see, because if you may have a negative view of certain subsidy. The state which is giving the subsidy doesn't have that view. Who is to decide whether it's a good subsidy or a bad subsidy? That's a difficult task. So something, we direct way, I think it is a very tough question. And if you have suggestions, how one can address that, we are open to hearing from you.
सर, ये 15वें जो वित्त आयोग था,
एक बार
मेरा नाम कुमार रमेश है। ये जो 15वें वित्त आयोग था, क्या उन्होंने कभी ऐसा रिकमेंडेशन किया कि हम डिजिटल इंडिया की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं, तो क्या हमने जो स्मार्ट सिटी थी उसके लिए कभी कोई बजट अलॉट किया? अभी आपके हिसाब से हरियाणा में क्या स्मार्ट सिटी का कोई प्रोजेक्ट के लिए आप लोगों ने कभी पैसा दिया, या आगे भविष्य में कोई प्लानिंग है आप लोगों के पास?
15th में रिकमेंडेशन थी एक नई सिटीज़ के लिए, नॉट स्मार्ट सिटीज़, राइट? the greenfield projects के लिए उसमें provision था. That's all I know. वो उस तो on the record है, वो तो उसकी report में लिखा हुआ है, so you can check the details.
Manoj Kumar from India. How many states are having revenue loss due to implementation of GST? And many states are having huge financial burden due to different regions. That's why they are saying the vertical tax revenue should be increased from 41% to 15%. So which are the states are having?
No, that's a question I have asked the Haryana government, because they gave us the criterion, so there is no easy way. So my question to them was, how will you measure that? First, it's not merely of having a loss, but what that loss exactly is, how do you calculate? So Haryana government is supposed to now, think about it, how they exactly are to measure that.
Wait, one
And come
last
back.
question.
मैं योगेश शर्मा हूँ, दैनिक हरिभूमि से। जो मुख्यमंत्री ने आपको कुछ सजेशंस दिए हैं, हालांकि आप कह रहे हैं सेपरेट वो है, तो आर्म फोर्सेस, क्योंकि हर 10वां आदमी यहाँ हरियाणा से आर्म फोर्सेस में है, तो ये जो सेपरेट सुझाव हैं, जो भी कमीशन सोच रहा है, विचार करेगा?
अभी इस एट दिस स्टेज हम तो सभी के लिए ओपन है, तो सजेशन जिन्होंने और मुख्यमंत्री दिए तो ज़रूर हमें इट्स इनकम्बेंट अपॉन अस कि हम इस पर विचार करें, पर और भी जो सजेशंस, अगर अच्छे सजेशन हमें किसी से भी आते हैं, तो जब तक थिंग्स डोंट गेट कास्ट इन स्टोन, वी रिमेन ओपन. The commission's approach is very much to listen to any good suggestions that come its
अगर आप
way.
अलाउ करें तो यूएनबी का और जो पंचायती राज में हम जो इसका बहुत बड़ा मेजर पार्ट जाता है आयोग की सिफारिशों का, इसको हम कैसे जो स्टेट्स में जाते हैं कैसे मेजर करते हैं कि यूएनबी का डेवलपमेंट्स का वक्त देखते हैं, अर्बन अपॉर्चुनिटी का और डेवलपमेंट पंचायत का देखते हैं, या यही पैरामीटर्स के हिसाब से सबको देते हैं फिर वो राज्य से करते हैं?
तो अभी तक तो जो हुआ है वो पॉपुलेशन और एरिया के बेसिस पे हुआ है. हाँ, पॉपुलेशन और एरिया के
लेकिन
बेसिस
दोनों
पे.
वित्त आयोग इस पे चेंज कर सकते हैं.
हाँ, हाँ.
Sir, if you permit one last question.
Yeah.
Sir, I am Bhartesh I'm special correspondent with the Tribune. Sir, 15th Finance Commission says that the interest payments as ratio of TRE in case of Haryana is the highest in India.
Interest payments as a ratio.
Interest payment as ratio of TRE is the highest in India.
TRE is total revenue expenditure.
Is it
हाँ.
a concern for Haryana economy?
It is one of the parameters. It's one parameter, and it's about this refers to also fiscal stability, right? Because the high interest payments also imply high debt to GDP ratio and all, right? Although factually, I'm not quite sure actually that factually state is, huh?
उतना ज़्यादा नहीं है.
Because they can't be the highest, because the debt to GDP ratio is about what, 30-31%, little less than 29 point something.
It is on the lower side.
So it can't be what you are saying that that interest payment as a proportion of total revenue expenditures, I don't think it could be the highest for Haryana. You can check, these are numbers available, but I would be very surprised actually if it is the highest for Haryana.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.